presentation will provide basic information about your role in the program. We're using Zoom for these meetings. And so whether you are accessing this presentation from a cell phone, your desktop, a laptop, computer, certain features to you. The raising your hand feature can be found under the reactions pane. And I'm actually going to ask everyone to raise your hands right now, just to make sure that I know that you all can find it. Awesome. I see a lot of raised hands. That's great. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box or raise your hand. There is a lot of information that we will go through this presentation. So we'll ask for you to wait to give your questions in the moments where we'll pause for some questions, and then we'll also have a question section at the end of the presentation. So here's our agenda. We'll go through the leadership team introductions. We'll go through an overview of the project advisory committee. We'll go through an overview of the New Mix program, and then we'll do another overview of the planning and environmental linkages, or PEL study overview. Next, we'll do the New Mix program's goals and objectives. That section is a little bit more interactive, so I'll be asking for your feedback. Some polls will come up, and then we'll go through the next steps. And actually, I'm going to launch a poll right now just to make sure that everyone has some familiarity with Zoom polls or has access to it. So for those of you who see it, please participate. Awesome. This is great. Okay, I see that an overwhelming majority of you have filled out this poll, so let's continue on. Okay, New Mix leadership team's introductions. I'm going to ask each person of the leadership team just to throw on their camera, provide a brief introduction, perhaps 10 seconds, just to put a face to a name. Neil, is Neil on?
Yes, Neil.
Okay. Okay. So.
Yeah, I'm not hearing Neil's, but
okay.
Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Scott Roberts with Connecticut DOT. I am the project manager for this New Mix planning and environmental linkage study that we're doing. We'll explain a little bit more about that. You'll hear the term PEL. I just wanted to also introduce Neil Patel. He is the principal engineer of our major projects group. I think he's having a little trouble with the mic, but welcome everyone to this inaugural PAC on behalf of the state and the DOT and this leadership team. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in this today, and we'll try to be respectful of everybody's time, obviously, and we look forward to working with you. We're very excited to show you some of the things that we've been working on and looking at to hopefully improve what everybody affectionately calls the Mixmaster in the middle of Waterbury at some point in the future. So again, thank you, and I'll turn it over to John Dean, I think is on the call.
Hi, good morning. My name is John Dean. I am a project engineer for this project at the Connecticut DOT Division of Highway Design. And thank you all for your participation. Looking forward to it.
Hi, I'm Jacob Argiro. I'm the project manager from the consulting engineering firm HNTV. We were hired by Connecticut DOT a number of years ago to lead this study.
I'm David Schweitzer. I'm with HNTV. I'm the deputy project manager. Good morning. My name is Chris Fagan. I'm the project engineer with HNTB.
And I'm Naomi. I am the environmental lead with HNTB. Okay. So Project Advisory Committee overview. So the PAC purpose. This PAC was established in hopes of assembling a cross-section of interests representing groups that will be directly impacted by the New Mix program. The PAC was assembled to allow for constructive dialogue from various perspectives, including those who live near the program area, highway users, commuters, local government officials, and large employers. PAC membership is intended to include individuals who represent diverse ethnicities, genders, abilities, income levels, ages, and language. Key to the federal requirements of the study, the Project Advisory Committee has been formed for you to provide feedback on the program's preliminary purpose and need, draft transportation-related goals and objectives, and conceptual alternatives. Public involvement is required as part of the environmental review. And so during these very early planning endeavors for compliance with state and federal regulations. And these regulations just ensure that the environmental information is available to the public before decisions are made and before any actions are taken. The PAC is assembled to provide two-way communication between the PAC and the program team. Throughout the program and the early planning phases of the New Mix program, feedback from PAC members like you may inform the selection of a range of reasonable alternatives for the New Mix. And in later New Mix program, in later phases of the New Mix program, feedback from PAC members may help shape design and program mitigation measures. So the New Mix team invited representatives from all of the groups that are represented on the screen. And so what we would like to do is for each member of the PAC to introduce themselves, state their relationship to the community in order of the list. In an effort to maintain our schedule, I just ask that you keep your introductions to about 10 seconds. And I can provide an example of introduction, and it would just be, I'm Naomi, I'm with HNTB, and I am doing the environmental work on the New Mix program. So starting with All Saints and Todos Los Santos Parish, do we have someone representing this group on the call? I don't see anyone.
I believe that'd be Brian Peterson.
Is he on?
I don't see him.
Brian, yeah. So let's start with, I believe, John from Bender Plumbing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Torrey. I'm the Fleet and Safety Manager for Bender Plumbing, and our largest hub for the state is located right in Waterbury.
Great. Then City of Waterbury, let's start with the Bureau of Engineering.
I didn't see Roy.
Okay, City Planning and Inland Wetlands.
It's Bob Nerney, AKA Planning Staff. Sorry, I wasn't able to change the name. It's not letting me, but certainly look forward to being a member of the PAC and working with all interest groups.
Cliff Brammer, Assistant City Planner, Waterbury.
Joe McGraw, Director of Economic Development, City of Waterbury.
David Simpson, Director of Public Works, City of Waterbury.
Ken Stanko, Project Liaison to Mayor O'Leary on the project New Mix.
I don't think.
Sergeant Amatruda, she's on mute right now.
Yeah, I don't think we have Carry On from the fire department. Sergeant Filikis from the police department. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sergeant Amatruda. Sergeant Amatruda.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't have a microphone on my computer, so I had to call in real quick. Sergeant Nadine, the Waterbury Police Department. I am the aide to the chief. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
And I believe Roy Kavanaugh, city engineer, he's trying to log on right now.
All right.
Okay. And so next we have Connecticut Association for Community Transportation. Do we have someone representing the Connecticut Coalition for Environmental Justice? CT Transit? FHWA?
Hi, Maria from Northeast Transportation here.
Hi, Maria. Thank you.
Hi.
Greater Waterbury Transit District?
Good morning. I'm Betty Bajak. I'm the chairwoman of the Greater Waterbury Transit District.
Okay. Hi, Betty. Hispanic Coalition of the Greater Waterbury?
Hi, my name is Tomas Olivo. I'm the initiative director for the Working Cities Challenge in Waterbury, Connecticut.
Thank you. Hi, Tomas. Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church? Housatonic Valley Association?
Hi, everyone. Eric Hazelton, Southern Valley Conservation Projects Manager for HVA.
Hey, Eric, thank you. Georgia's Farm, I don't think they could come. Main Street Waterbury?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carl Rose. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Main Street Waterbury.
Thank you. Mattatuck Museum, they did not were able to make this meeting. So Metro North, I don't see Metro North. Motor Transport Association of Connecticut.
Yeah, Joe Scully, Motor Transport Association of Connecticut, representing the trucking industry.
Okay. Hi, Joe. The National Association for Advancement of Colored People of Greater Waterbury. The Naugatuck Valley Community College.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's Dana Elm. I'm the Dean of Administration for the college.
Great. The Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments.
Good morning, Mark Nielsen, Assistant Director.
Okay. Palace Theater, Frank actually emailed that he could not make it today. The Police Activity League, River Brigade. I think that's, don't see him on the phone. Riverside Cemetery.
Good morning. I'm Martin Begnell. I'm the president of the Friends of Riverside Cemetery.
Hi, Martin. Thank you. St. Mary's Hospital.
Good morning. Stephanie Velikas, Communications Specialist at St. Mary's.
Thank you, Steph. The University of Connecticut Waterbury Branch.
Tracy Borden, Director of Administration.
Hi, Tracy. Waterbury Bridge to Success.
Good morning, Kevin Taylor, Executive Director, Neighborhood Housing Services of Waterbury.
Thank you. And Waterbury Development Corporation.
Good morning, Tommy Hyde, Interim Director, Waterbury Development Corporation.
Thank you. Waterbury Hospital.
Morning, Jeremy Rodrigo, Director of Business Development, Waterbury Hospital.
Thank you. And Waterbury Neighborhood Associations, Bunker Hill.
Good morning. I'm Art Dens, President of Waterbury Neighborhood Council.
Good morning, Art. Anybody else from the neighborhood associations, the neighborhood groups?
Yes, Martin Spring, good morning. Waterville Community Club. I'm president of the club and also chairman on the Waterbury Human Rights Commission here in the city of Waterbury.
Thank you, Martin. And then Waterbury Regional Chamber. And then Waterbury Working Cities Challenge.
Yeah, that would be me under Tomas Olivo under the Hispanic Coalition.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for joining us for this meeting. And again, the New Mix Program Leadership Team would like to thank you for your participation. We're very grateful.
Did we miss anybody?
Yeah, did we miss anybody who was not listed?
Yeah, hi, Barbara Kolaski for the Connecticut Association for Community Transportation and also CT Transit Waterbury.
Hi, Barbara, thank you.
Yeah.
I know Roy Kavanaugh jumped on late, and I'm seeing a Karina Patel also.
Okay.
I'm also seeing a Maria.
Meet Maria.
This is Neil Patel. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, hi Neil.
All right. So I just jumped on my personal computer, so that's why you see that name. My daughter must have been on. Go ahead, continue.
Thank you. And then Mr. Kavanaugh, were you able to join us?
Yes, sir. Roy Kavanaugh, City Waterbury Engineering.
And finally, Maria, there's a Maria on the phone, I believe.
Yes, going from transit.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
I believe we introduced. Awesome. Thank
Roger
you.
that.
Great. So being a PAC member is important. Your role as PAC members is to be a contributory entity providing public input and insight in what will ultimately become the New Mix program. You will do this by participating in these PAC meetings. If I'm the only one talking, this won't be much fun, and we really want the PAC to be a collaborative space. Reviewing and educating oneself and sharing those community issues. We want the conversations to be productive, and that means familiarizing oneself with the materials, but also educating the interests that you represent, and so that there is that two-way conversation. Sharing perspectives and collaborating in the development of and assessment of concepts. This is contributing to that collaborative nature of this committee. We want you to serve as that link to the community. Really hammering on this. This is where that two-way communication that was previously stated comes in. We are also looking at you and towards you to help disseminate the information and communicate information of the communities and organizations that you represent. Providing input so that Connecticut DOT can make informed decisions. The input gained through these meetings will be documented and utilized to inform Connecticut DOT's decisions. So it's very important that your perspectives are given. And then accepting of agency determinations, just understanding that complete agreement on all issues is likely just not possible. The New Mix program is a very large endeavor, and with how massive of a program it is, and that we are anticipating it to be, we understand and acknowledge that not all issues can be resolved. Disagreement and differing perspectives is inevitable and acceptable. It's part of just the study process. But the intent of these meetings are to identify areas of agreement so that we can find the best solution for the New Mix interchange system. And through that, we'll get into the PAC procedures and guidelines. These PAC meetings are aimed to be respectable in a collaborative space. And in order to make sure that these meetings remain a positive experience for all participants, there are just a few procedural guidelines that I'd like to go through. And I'll mention these at all of the meetings, essentially, just to keep it fresh in our minds. So the meetings will commence and conclude on time. This is out of respect for everyone's volunteer time. It is critical that these meetings are maintained within the time that we say that they will. A stated purpose with meeting materials, in additional to meeting agendas, may periodically be provided to the PAC members. And this is just to preface a meeting. Meetings will be recorded and made available to the PAC members, so just please note that. And then also meetings will be documented with meeting minutes, and those will be made available as well. General protocols include just to be courteous, respectful, and considerate of all opinions and perspectives. Try not to interrupt or speak over other people when they are speaking. You know, questions are encouraged, and please come ready to participate. And then also when you log on, we just ask that you mute your microphones upon arrival. These are virtual meetings, and you know, it's a different environment than we are used to for these PAC meetings. So just mute your mics, and the chat function will be available for comments, questions at all times. And then if you do have a question and you want to verbally state it, we just ask that you state your name and affiliation before each question or statement. All right, so using the raised hand function, how many of you are excited to participate on the PAC? I hope everyone. Great. All right, you guys can put your hands down and we'll move forward. I'm actually going to go into an overview of the New Mix program. A few of these slides will be familiar to many of you who participated in our stakeholder meetings this past summer. I'll move through this section a little quickly. And this is just intended to be just a quick refresher on what the New Mix program is. So here we have Waterbury, located in New Haven County. And you can see the New Mix study area. And this is our New Mix study area. The study area extends beyond the interchange itself, and this is in order to examine the wide range of decision options. And the program team's considerations for setting this study area included entrance and exit limits for the interchange, major arterial intersections, as well as cultural and historical resources. I'm going to start a poll just to get an idea on how frequently PAC members utilize the interchange system. See, many of you are filling out this poll. Just a few more people. And I know I won't get everyone because there are some phone calls. Okay, and what I'm seeing is that, I'll end this poll. What I see is actually that many and most of you, the overwhelming majority of you, use the Mixmaster interchange always, daily, just almost several times a week. And that's very important. And we'll touch upon that at a later time in this presentation, but thank you. So why improve the Mixmaster? This slide lists some of the challenges that the Mixmaster is experiencing today and reasoning why we're looking to improve the Mixmaster. We will get into more detail on the existing conditions at a later meeting, a future meeting, but these are just some reasonings for why we are looking to improve the Mixmaster. Okay, the New Mix program. What is the New Mix program? It is a long-term planning study that's looking to find a solution as to how to reconstruct the interchange as it's reaching the end of its serviceable lifespan. It is anticipated that it will be phased over time with an overall goal to modernize, improve safety, functionality, reduce congestion, and align the project with the city's economic development and community goals. As stated, the program is anticipating to be phased. We are in the very, very early planning stages of this long-term and complicated project. And while we are looking at various replacements and rehabilitation options for the Mixmaster, all options do include phasing of the overall larger project into smaller, more manageable projects that are shown on the screen. This is just an estimated timeline. This phased approach is more manageable because it allows for the preparation and distribution of funding for this very major project and for other major projects in the state, and less intense traffic impacts by constructing improvements to lessen traffic on the interchange. And to get an idea of what those general projects are, we start off with these early action projects. These are generally focused on the high return local road and intersection improvements that can reduce the volumes that are using the interchange to get across town. Near-term projects, these are generally on the outer legs of the interchange, and these can be initiated before the core of the interchange is reconstructed. And then finally, the long-term projects. These projects include the Interstate I-84 and Route 8 and their system connections, which are anticipated to be completed by the mid-2040s. These projects focus more on the core of the interchange. And we'll pause here for a couple minutes for some questions. if any? Okay, seeing no questions, we're gonna move forward, and I'm actually gonna hand this off to my colleague, Chris, to give an overview on the planning environmental linkages study. So Chris.
Thanks, Naomi. All right, so like Naomi said, I'll be giving a brief overview of planning and environmental linkages generally and the PEL study for the new mix. So to start off, to better understand PEL, it's useful to have some background on the environmental laws that are on the books in the United States. The National Environmental Policy Act, known as NEPA, and the Connecticut Environmental Policy Act, known as CEPA, are two of these laws. One's federal and the other state. Each law applies under different circumstances, but from this point forward, I'm just going to be referring to them both as NEPA because I'm going to be saying the word NEPA quite a bit. So moving on, NEPA is the federal law that requires consideration of environmental effects before public agencies like the DOT make final decisions and take major actions on a proposed project. Now, this consideration isn't limited to just the natural environment, but it also includes interrelated social, cultural, and economic effects that a project may have. NEPA also provides an opportunity for citizens, such as yourselves, to become involved in an agency's decision-making process. Now, a planning environmental linkages approach, or a PEL study, is a pre-NEPA activity. A PEL is not required to begin the NEPA process, but when one is conducted, it must always be followed by NEPA before making that final decision to proceed with a project. So then, what is PEL? So I'm going to read right from the slides here. A planning and environmental linkages approach or study is a federal highway administration recognized process that connects transportation planning with environmental and community concerns. The Department of Transportation's PEL study is going to be identifying transportation issues, needs and deficiencies of the study area, determining program priorities, developing a master plan for improvements at the new mix, highlighting environmental and community concerns, and ultimately leading up to a roadmap for the future National Environmental Policy Act process. So I think at this point, it's fair for any of you to ask or to point out that PEL and NEPA sound very similar. And that would be an accurate observation. And I also think a fair follow-up question to that would be, why not just go straight to NEPA based on the information we've provided thus far? So I'm going to try and address that question on this slide. A PEL is not meant to create redundancy with NEPA. However, it's intended to be complementary. PEL studies can provide a number of benefits to projects when they're conducted, especially for a large project like the new mix. So on this slide, there's 10 benefits shown. Rather than go through each one, I'm going to focus on 3 of them and try to explain the rationale for the new mix program with an overarching theme. The new mix is a big project, like we said. It's kind of an understatement. Naomi's used words like large endeavor, massive program. And in fact, it's actually a mega project by most of the definitions that are out there. The reconstruction of this interchange will be highly complex. It's going to affect many individuals, and it will be performed over a period of decades. Being able to deal with some of these circumstances pre-NEPA will hopefully reduce the complication of the future environmental review phase. So, for example, the flexibility provided by a PEL will allow us to reduce uncertainty in the new mix program. We'll be able to keep the study at a very high level and then define a series of smaller projects with very more easily understood scopes that could be studied in appropriate detail during future NEPA. This is what we mean when we say that the PEL study will create a roadmap to NEPA. The study is also going to provide more time for our team to develop the many relationships between agencies, stakeholders, and the public that are going to be critical for the project and the team's success. We want to establish a level of trust before we get into the more structured NEPA process rather than starting from no relationship whatsoever. Finally, decisions and analyses produced during a PEL can inform NEPA. These are what we call planning products, and they can be reused and relied upon in the future. So this allows for some front loading of work that would otherwise occur during NEPA. During NEPA, some regulatory requirements are somewhat rigidly defined. Again, calling back to the flexibility of a PEL study, the flexibility in the PEL is going to give our professionals more latitude to exercise their judgment. This means that detailed environmental evaluations that NEPA regulations might otherwise prescribe, they may judge to be non-essential during the PEL. And that could help expedite the decision-making during this PEL study phase. So now that I provide some rationale for the new mixed PEL study, let's move on and talk about what are some of the desired results for this PEL study. So this is a slide that was taken directly from the stakeholder presentations this past summer. I'm going to breeze through. We're trying to keep it brief. So again, we're looking to get an early start on technical studies, outreach, and public involvement, identify key issues and risks. Two of the planning products that we want to have at the end of the study are the preliminary purpose and need. You all will become more familiar with that term over the next few PAC meetings. And another important planning product that we want at the end of the PEL study is a range of reasonable alternatives. And there's a slide coming up on that, so I'll hold off on describing it further. Finally, all of the process that we have during this PEL study, we need to make sure that we document it in a way that is NEPA friendly and allows for its future incorporation into that NEPA process as easily as possible. So next slide, please. Okay, so what we have here is an overall schedule of activities as we envision them in this new mixed PEL study. This is actually a graphical and high-level summary of a document that we produced called the PEL Process Framework and Methodology. It does a really good job of just summarizing that document in one page. I think that document's maybe like 12, 20 pages. Right now, we are in the middle of this PEL study process. We're at the point where we are looking to develop the project's purpose and need and goals and objectives. And that's where we're bringing everybody in. That's why we're convening the PAC at this point. Say again? Oh, okay. So
on the video over here.
Ken, are you trying to? Do you want to ask a question at this time?
No, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted.
Okay, roger that. So at this, we're bringing the PAC in at this point during the process because this is the appropriate time to start getting input on some of the planning products that we're developing. We've already done quite a bit of work up till now, through from 2022 now, and that's stuff that we need to catch everybody up on, and we're going to be doing that over the next couple of meetings. But even starting right now, we're hoping that we start getting some input from you guys, and I promise we're getting to that point. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, that's where we are. We're in the middle of it. Okay, so what's shown here is a graphical depiction of just one of the steps in the PEL study, which is the creation and screening of alternatives. It's a very detailed look at that aspect of our study. And for those of you on the phone, what's being shown is a funnel. It's a metaphor for how we are going to take many ideas, our purpose and need and goals and objectives at the top of the funnel. They're all getting thrown in by the study team, the PAC stakeholders and the public. And then as we proceed down through the funnel, those ideas, potential solutions are being screened to a more narrow range. The idea being that at the end of the funnel, we produce this range of reasonable alternatives. So how do we get there? There's 3 levels that we're defining for the screening and evaluation of ideas or alternatives that we're going to step through with this PAC and then step through with the public following that. Each level is going to include progressively more detailed screening and evaluation criteria that you will be able to shape as a PAC member involved in this process. I think that's good enough. Yeah. Okay. This slide, this is another slide that's directly from the stakeholder presentation that we gave this past summer. For those of you who were at those meetings, nothing has changed since then. We are still anticipating that there will be 6 to 8 meetings over the next 12 to 18 months to go through all these steps in our process. And we're very grateful that you have elected to come along for this ride. So next slide. And ongoing concurrently are going to be additional outreach methods that we've already deployed to get information from sources other than the PAC, such as our website or our social media. You know, social media is active in posting, and eventually we will get to those public meetings where we're also getting input and feedback from the public. So in addition to what comes in from this PAC to help us make more informed decisions, we do have other channels that we'll be continuing to use. So that's the end of this section. Now I'm going to hand it back to Naomi, and we're going to get into the interactive portion of the presentation. Hopefully we get some input from you guys on New Mix program goals and objectives. So Naomi?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So New Mix program goals and objectives. The Connecticut Department of Transportation produced a visiting statement for the PEL study, and this was developed to help guide the program team and its partners. And I'll read that. The Connecticut Department of Transportation desires to establish a vision or master plan for the interchange that is articulated in a prioritized plan for the phased implementation of improvements. The overarching goal of the PEL study is to develop a clear and supported plan of action for addressing deficiencies on the I-84 and Route 8 interchange in the study area. So using your raised hand button, how many of you feel that this statement is a mouthful? And
am I allowed to raise my hand?
Yeah.
It's someone on the slate.
And you know, this statement was actually developed to be a little ambiguous, so it's totally understood that it's a little complicated, but it's broad enough to allow flexibility for when we are finding and developing solutions for the interchange. The good thing about the statement is that we're actually going to break it down even more. And I'm going to pull up a poll just to get a general gauge of your satisfaction of using the New Mix transportation system. So watch that right now. Please participate. Thank you. I'm seeing some answers coming in. Give people a couple more seconds to decide, and I will actually share these results with you all just so that you can get a gauge of how everyone's feeling towards the New Mix or towards the Mixmaster. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Okay. Can everyone see the results? So we got a pretty decent spread. There's a lot of neutrals in here and a couple of not satisfied. So it's a pretty good spread. We're actually going to try to get a better understanding of those who are, you know, not just satisfied or very satisfied, but not satisfied or just generally neutral regarding the Mix and Master interchange. It's important that we get this perspective from you all. So what are some of the problems that you are experiencing on the Mix Master interchange? These could be positive, negative experiences. These issues can be stated verbally. You can also put them in the box, the chat function box, raise your hand, and I'll call on you one by one just to get an idea of what type of issues people are experiencing while they're using the interchange system. And, you know, some examples, some issues that we've heard from other stakeholders and perhaps people on this call today is just there are left-hand entrances onto the highway and left-hand exits off the highway, and you'll find, you know, people traversing across 3 lanes of traffic in order to take those exits. May not feel safe doing that.
Naomi, Tracy has hand raised. I don't know, Tracy, do you have a question for the team, or is that just up from before? She's muted.
Okay, I did get a, oh, Tracy. There you go.
Sorry, no, that's from before. Apologize.
No worries. I did get
Just wanted
one.
to make sure.
Yep, we did get one chat from Mrs. Elm, and that was actually the left-hand entrances to 84 from entering eastbound from exit 18 that has been identified as an issue. And no comment is a bad comment. Like we want any input, any other input would be great. Mr. Nielsen stated too many closely spaced on and off ramps, and so that's causing a lot of weaving. That's a great one. Mrs. Bajek said the conditions of the road itself. Thinking the pavement might be a little uneven in some areas, perhaps. I'll peruse the video to see if any hands are raised. I don't see any.
I guess there's no traffic problems. out
Yeah, I
there.
guess, yeah, there's no traffic.
Yeah,
in
that's probably,
Waterbury.
I guess that's what I'm hearing.
Mr. Bengal?
Hi, yes. So, you know, as a driver, I have all those same concerns. It's dangerous, it's confusing. But answering as a representative of the cemetery, it's actually a nightmare for us. I can't imagine there's another group or that has more impact, that the Mixmaster has more impact on than Riverside Cemetery. We are literally in its shadow, quite literally. It is loud, it is noisy, it is ugly. I believe that the vibration from the highway is destroying our chapel. It's a chapel on the National Register of Historic Places. The walls are literally pulling away from the building. It's destroying a historic site. People can't find us. It's horrendous. So that's my problem with the Mixmaster.
No, thank you. We appreciate that. We'll definitely take all of that into consideration. Joe, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, just as far as traffic, I mean, there definitely has been traffic on there over the last several years, though I'm inclined to largely attribute that to the ongoing construction projects there, including the maintenance work that's going on there right now, and going back a few years, the I-84 Waterbury project. I mean, I think those things are two of the biggest causes of traffic. I'm not sure if the structure itself inherently causes traffic the way that, say, the I-84 91 interchange in Hartford does. So I think as we go through this, we need to make sure that traffic flow, freight flow is either maintained or improved. That should be something that we do on this. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my colleagues, feel free to chime in. But yeah, we have definitely taken into consideration the other rehabilitation and widening projects that have taken place on I-84, and The widening project actually did help to alleviate a lot of the traffic congestion issues. And unfortunately, another project just happened recently after that, which sort of, takes away from the massive improvement that project did on the congestion in that area.
Yeah, I do always point to that project as a very good approach to doing a project, and that it should be replicated whenever we do things like this.
Great, thank you. Other comments in the chat were Mr. Olivo, intercity traffic. Mr. Hazelton said that it feels dangerous when you compare it to other stretches of 84. Ms. Valakis said that she's currently unable to utilize Mixmaster due to the exit closures, and therefore she's sort of forced to go through town. Hopefully those temporary traffic conditions will, alleviate soon, but yeah.
Naomi,
Yes.
if I may, coming from Route 8, merging onto the Mixmaster, the two next right-hand exits, Bank Street and downtown Waterbury, are extremely dangerous for crossing over and trying to exit coming from Route 8.
Route 8 onto 84. Yes.
That seems to be a very big problem, especially now that one of the exits has been closed.
Great, thank you.
Yes, I had put that in the chat as well, that getting on from Route 8 North to go westbound 84 and trying to get off of that exit 18 is, really, you take your life in your hands attempting to do that. So I know a lot of people choose to go down to exit 17 and double back to get to the college or to get to that section of Waterbury.
Thank you. And so we're actually going to move on, and we thank you all for your input. We have been populating this sticker board with all of your issues that you stated, and hopefully, can you all see the sticker board? Yes, you should. And these are just a way for us to categorize, those issues that you have touched upon in these and just now from what you are experiencing on the Mixmaster interchange. We're going to take this into consideration, and these we're hoping will inform our purpose and need statement, and also we can identify some transportation related goals and objectives. We'll continue to look at this. This will be the PAC issues board, and in future meetings we'll probably look back at this and really look at ways that we can hopefully mitigate some of these issues that you all are experiencing. Oh, another one, I don't want to miss this. Another one is stormwater runoff from upper deck spills onto lower roadway. That's another one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Okay. And back to the slideshow. You've heard me mention other transportation-related goals and objectives. These may be a desirable outcome of the NEMICS program, although not the primary purpose of the program. They're not reasons to advance or dismiss an alternative. Achieving any of these would be essentially a goal, and each transportation related goal and objectives will be considered as the alternatives are evaluated. We would like your input on developing other transportation related goals and objectives. On your screen, these are just post-it notes similar to what we just activity we just did. These are transportation related goals and objectives that have been identified so far. like supporting the local and regional plans. Like for instance, we've reviewed the City of Waterbury's downtown strategic plan. We want to make another transportation related goal and objective could be complementing the community's surroundings, accommodating multimodal connections for bicyclists and pedestrians and other modes of transportation, and accommodating the growth and potential like freight transportation. So next steps. So the NUMIX program team developed an online application that will be used to collect and organize your comments. The purpose of this web application is for PAC members to be able to use and add their input for the collection and inclusion into the study. It will aid in the development of additional goals and objectives, and perhaps also inform the preliminary purpose and need. All PAC members will receive a link to this application where you will be prompted to add your information and provide the community's input, the communities that you represent. You must fill out the form that's shown on your screen, and I will actually show a brief demo just to give you all an idea of what it looks like. After you log in with your information, instructions will pop up. You can read through these, just familiarize yourselves with the tool. I'll exit out of it, and you will see the project study area on your map and an aerial view of the NUMIX program area. You can zoom in and out. And what you can do is add your comments onto the map wherever that are transportation related, onto the map wherever you feel is necessary. For instance, those entrance and exit ramps, ramps off of Route 8, like Mr. Dens, you mentioned, that is dangerous. Like you can add that to here. And a way to add your comment, you click on the submit a comment button, you fill out this form. There are comment types, general, question, issue, and an opportunity. And you hit report it, and you can select a point. Well, before you report it, you can select a point on the screen and hit report. Once you make a report, you'll see, everyone else's comments. You won't be able to see who made the comment, but everyone's comments will be on the screen. And there is an option to like other comments. And that's just a way so that comments aren't duplicated. So if you see a comment that you agree with, like it, and we'll realize that it's, an important issue or opportunity that many people are looking to hopefully include in the NUMIX program. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Also, the NUMIX website is live, so additional information will be available on this website 24/7. You can look through the history of the Mixmaster. There is a frequently asked questions section on this website. You'll be able to sign up for alerts and press releases, receive notifications of upcoming public meetings, and provide comments as well. So upcoming meetings and future PAC agendas. Here we have just a brief overview of what's upcoming. Our next meeting will be focused on the existing conditions. We'll present to you the preliminary purpose and need statement. We'll take those issues that you experienced on the Mixmaster, see if they can fit into the preliminary purpose and need statement, or as a transportation related goal and objective provided by you. This meeting is anticipated to take place the week of December 13th. So please be on the lookout for this meeting information and the date. I'll put out another doodle poll to make sure it's compatible with the majority of PAC members' schedules, but this is right around the corner. So please just be aware of that. And then just lastly, again, before the next meeting, just identify those transportation related goals and objectives on that Esri map, that map application that we went through. Explore the project website and program website. Check your email for information on the PAC meeting and the schedule. And then also get excited to participate in our next meeting. Yep, that's it. Any questions and comments?
Oh, yeah, Martin Spring of Waterville Community Club. I don't have Zoom, so I'm just calling in.
Right.
I don't have that capacity on my computer.
Yes.
So I just want to say I had a real good time today listening to everything, very important. And I just want to wish everybody a happy, blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You as well. Martin, you will get an email with the PowerPoint presentation and you'll be able to access the link, and I'll send out all the links so you'll be able to access those items. So despite not being able to see the Zoom presentation, you'll be able to still be included in all the information. So thank you for your participation. Mr. Nielsen, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, just a quick question, and I sort of apologize that I'll bring this up, but I feel a need to. Given the passage of the new infrastructure bill and the increase in federal dollars that's likely to come to the state over the next 5 years or so, is there an anticipation or expectation that some of the sort of more immediate action projects that you guys have been looking at, are they going to maybe be accelerated to try to take advantage of some of the available money, or is this sort of just on a set schedule and we really can't accelerate much?
So maybe I'll jump in here, and Mike or Neil or John, if you want to also at any point, but good question, Mark. We actually anticipated that question. And so
glad I asked it then.
Yeah, no, not a problem that you raised it, actually. So as everyone may be aware, Congress passed and the president has signed a new transportation bill. We're not sure exactly when we're going to see any of the money from that yet, right? And we don't have any final numbers yet. So we're anticipating some increases, obviously. And to answer your question, yes, we are exploring not only with this project, but across many of the major projects that we're looking at, what potential early actions may be able to be advanced. Obviously, they would be in the outer years of this 5-year bill, because nothing has really been designed yet. Everything at this stage right now is still, conceptual study. We're looking at, we're looking at options. We're looking at ideas, right? So, I hope that partially answers your question. Some of the other things that we're looking at is possibly being able to use some of the money to further study and potentially design some of these short-term or early action or near-term projects, which again, we'll define those more as we get into some of the subsequent meetings. But I think we did touch on some of that at the stakeholder outreach. Right. But no, very good question. So we are looking at that, definitely. We are trying to be well positioned for potential, increases in funding levels.
Right. And again, I was thinking more about let's call them the local types of projects, ones that may be accelerate. Obviously, I didn't want to suggest that, oh, gee, with all this extra money, we could move the interchange project earlier. We know that that's going to be, that's still 20 years out. And,
right. No, I'm glad you brought that up too.
Local stuff.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what it is. When I say early actions, it would be local improvements that probably on the city grid, not necessarily on the main line, because these would have to be improvements that I think the group could appreciate, right? That we're trying to avoid a lot of redundancy or throwaway, if you will. We don't want to build something now and then 5 years from now end up tearing it out, right? So it would have to be something, obviously, that isn't what we call under, Chris mentioned NEPA and the PEL process, right? That wouldn't be a connected action to a future improvement, right? So we don't want to predetermine an outcome. We can't do that.
Correct.
Right. So these would have to be all improvements that would fall under lower planning level categories, what we call categorical exclusions under NEPA, that could be advanced quickly and designed and get into construction more quickly. So those would be projects, as I said, on the local grid that may help improve some of the city movements to get some of the traffic off the interchange, right? Right now we know roughly 35% of the traffic using the interchange is going from one place to another in the city. And that's mainly because they're trying to avoid the city grid, right? So if we can make those improvements. So again, that type of project that would have independent utility and a logical, termini would be the kind of things we'd be looking at advancing.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And I just want to note that we are past our time. It's 10:05. I see that there's another question. For those of you who don't have time to, stay for us to answer some questions, thank you again for your participation. Mr. Bengal will get to you, but I just wanted to say thank you all for your participation and being on the lookout for an email from myself with the information, with some of the information that I said is forthcoming within it. So thank you. Mr. Bengal?
Yeah, I just want to thank you. Just as a follow-up to that last question, I guess. So I think it was estimated a few years back that the replace the Mixmaster is a $10 or $13 billion project. So no, so where's that? So does the state or federal government have that money? How will this be paid for? And can I point out also, I think in fairness to the group, I am the president of the Friends of Riverside Cemetery, and that's why I am here. I am also the assistant managing editor at the Republican American newspaper. I think the group should be aware of that.
Yep.
Okay, but my question is, where's the money coming from then?
So we don't have an identified funding source for this project, for the global project, if you will, at this point in time. The most recent, Chris or David, help me out. I think we were somewhere in the 5 billion range for the big project.
That's correct. In 2045, it's a $5 billion project.
5 billion, David? Yeah. So again, there were some other numbers out there that were floated from, inflating numbers from a previous study and things like that. And, we have since looked at the cost estimates. And again, these are, range of estimate costs. So by no means, do we have any exact numbers to put to this, because obviously we can't. We don't know enough detail at this point to do any type of quantity type estimate where we could get more precise numbers. So we're looking at range of value estimates, and we're in the 5 billion range, we think, for some of the good options, and I'm using the air quotes here, but the good options that we're looking at. So, but again, this is 20 years out for construction at this point, roughly, to maybe the midpoint of construction. So we're, again, trying to, position ourselves to be ready for future improvements like this. We know it's going to have to be done at some point, and it would, right now, that would take several years of our entire capital budget to fund that. So I don't know if that helps answer your question, but That's the best answer I could give you right now.
Just to add to that, this is Neil Patel. You know, this is a similar situation that we have on all of our major projects. You look at Hartford, I-84, 91, and the mobility study that we're doing there, Danbury, you know, these are big ticket future project items that right now we don't have the funding identified. And again, as Scott said, you know, we're talking about the long-term fixes that are years out. But just to add to, you know, what Mark was saying, yeah, the infrastructure bill is, you know, it is going to help as we move forward. So it's only a 5-year bill, but, you know, as we start finishing these PEL studies, we'll be able to really get a program looking forward. And you know, a lot of that money, maybe in the outer years of the infrastructure bill, will help us, you know, fund, as Scott said, the environmental, the NEPA documents, and even some of the engineering, get started on some of the engineering.
Well, thank you. Thank you and good luck.
All right. Are there any remaining questions? Okay. Well, thank you all again for your participation, and I'm looking forward to our future and for your participation on the future meetings with the PAC members. So, anything else? Anything else anyone wants to add?
I think we're good.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, good day.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.